Good afternoon, everyone. We are here again for the student-led seminar of VUS 3002 Debates in Strategic Management. We will be discussing today on topic 3, the third access session for OR1. That is, the topic is executing winning strategies in VUCA world. Strategy versus agility. We'll discuss on the agile organization, agile leader, and agile employees in this discussion. I'll request you to start with your introduction. Over to you.
Good afternoon. My name is Isha Pokhrel and my student ID is 19436734.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sunshine Rai, and my UNID is 19436738.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sudiksha Tuladar, and my UNID is 19436736.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ganesh Dangal and my student ID is 19436741.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Manjula Khanal and my student ID is 19436745.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Drishti Casey and my student ID is 19436743.
Now I would like to begin this seminar with a little bit of background on what agility is. So VUCA is an acronym for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment and is considered as a threat by business leaders. And I think it should be seen as such while appropriate safety measures should also be taken. And the fact that VUCA world provides immense opportunities should not be disregarded as well. And recognizing chances and using them in a meaningful way and mastering risks are the challenges for all players in the VUCA world, and not only for businesses but also for both um, customers and the economy. So this is basically nothing new and applies to all stages of mankind. Apart from the fact that VUCA world, um, the pace of change is as fast as it has never been seen before. And now this leads us to the key factors that are important for success in the VUCA world. And VUCA is not only used as an acronym for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment, but also as an acronym for vision, understanding, clarity, and agility, which is an antidote for VUCA. And transferring to the strategic business management, success requires a future vision um, that that serves both that serves as both a mission statement and motivation for activities within the company, and even in unsteady and uncertain environment. And in addition to that, the context needs to be grasped and the causes and rules which is responsible for the changes, as well as the consequences and risks. And clarity clarity stands for transparent process and sets of rules, as well as clearly formulated goals, strategies, and plans. And in the end, agility is indispensable for successful companies in the VUCA world. And the capability of being able to adapt to the changes in a fast and efficient way, and leading through ambiguity requires agility and necessitating more risk taking and connection with with new knowledge.
I will be talking about stability and agility. Stability: in the past, managers were taught to build stable organizations, creating long lasting stockholders' values. In today's rapidly changing world, agility has the great premium. Traditionally, organizations relied on stable, tried and true system, process and procedure, and workflow. The goal was to build an organization of lasting value that could withstand the buffering buffering of change in the market. Agility. Agility is the ability of quick response. The ability to be quick in general, to be agile, needs to be ag- uh, agility to detect change in your environment, as well as the ability to be respond quickly and correctly. Being agile is about exiling in frequently changing environments, much like a serious sport person who is masterfully integrates the aspect of balance, speed, strength, coordination, reaction to the dynamics on the field. Management has two roles in being agile: behavior to the organization, leading organization that have a adopt agile and develop method, bringing agility to the overall business or to a function other than software or IT. But today, the place of external change makes it more important to react quickly. But today, mindset of adaptive reactive organization describe the opposite end of the range, with free self-organizing team focusing on the work, avoiding process. This swing of weight has in some case lead to a disconnect between the workers and management.
Traditionally, organizations relied on stable, tried and true systems, processes, and procedures and workflows. The goal was to ship well understood products rapidly and efficiently. Workers were exhorted to plan the plan. Threats were unknown and were often ignored and were not responded to. The goal was to build an organization of lasting value that could withstand the buffeting of changes in the market. But today, the pace of external change makes it more important to react nimbly. Today's mindset of adaptive reactive organizations characterizes the opposite end of the spectrum, with autonomous self-organizing teams focusing on the work and squaring processes. The swing of the pendulum has, in some cases, especially in the development field, led to a disconnect between the workers and the management. There were some extreme cases in which it was considered agile management malpractice to make delivery commitments. The agile management challenge, therefore, is to reach the right balances between stability and agility and control and empowerment. So, how should we lead and manage in dynamic situations, those where both employees and organizations embrace uncertainty? Leaders must consider the willingness of the workforce to assume personal risk. The whole concept of the all knowing, omnipotent leader is over. Employees know that this is not reality, and a more value candid dialogue. According to a change consultant quoted in the MIT SMI article, Embracing Uncertainty, this will require a change in the culture, including encouraging risk and a more transparent two-way communication, both based on a change in behaviors. The economists managing uncertainty reinforces these themes, including chapters on strategic anticipation, for example, flexible planning, navigational leadership, agility, resilience, collaboration, and learning, and to focus on the implications of uncertainty relative to strategy for just a bit. The need to consider increasing speed, for example, from housing bubble to the Great Recession, interconnectivity, for example, Arab Spring of 2011, cyber attacks, both in political Russia and commercial world, as just a few considerations defining a wide ranging view of the future, strategy under uncertainty. Now, on a Harvard Business Review Classic discusses four levels of uncertainty. For example, clear, single view of the future, alternative, limited set of outcomes, range, and ambiguity. Each level comes with a recommended toolkit incorporating, for example, game theory, scenario planning, and pattern recognition. Most of these tools are still relevant in today's world.
Now I am going to talk something about stability. Stability does not necessarily mean that a company will list up all the possible improvements that a company can make for their businesses. It simply means that they are in a situation where they focus on consistency because it provides customer excellent profit. Saka 2016. For example, if customer loved a particular item from a restaurant, the restaurant might want to give them time to appreciate that specific meal. This doesn't mean that the restaurant will stop introducing new meals that their customer could enjoy. It only means that a restaurant needs to wait for some time before releasing the new specialty. This will not only avoid losing their customers but also prevent their current products from losing its popularity. Also, they can ensure that their profit from existing products and services will offer them an ongoing income for their business. Talking about agility, agility is one of the hottest management trends for companies with good reason. This approach, which encourages collaboration, responsiveness, and ownership, has helped to transform different parts of an organization and generated significant performance improvements. Over the past decades, leading companies have applied agile methodologies on IT, software development, project management, and delivery organizations. All of these functions have volatile processes with multiple inputs and a high uncertainty, which made them natural candidates for agile. Agility focuses on faster development of projects while retaining quality has been used in tandem with Lean Six Sigma, which focuses on cutting waste and making all decisions with customers' need in mind. Organization's agility refers to an organization's ability to adapt and respond to changes, external market conditions. It includes not just speed up remaining in touch. It includes not just speed up, but remaining in touch with the needs of customers. Agility is about flexibility. Ideal organizational leaders keep in touch with customers' need, learning, and then adapting to change. According to PMI report, this involves a focus on iteration, interaction, and collaboration. It also involves the ability to effortlessly switch priorities and face market changes held on, rather than clinging to a business scheme that worked 5 years ago but is no longer viable.
Now I'll be talking about what agile organizations is all about. To survive and thrive today, many organizations are undertaking the fundamental shift from a traditional organization model designed for the industrial economy to an agile model designed for today's digital economy. Rapid changes in competition, demand, technology, and regulations have made it more important than ever for organizations to be able to respond and adapt quickly. According to Oli Salo, companies are transforming activities in several parts of the organization from innovation and customer experience to operations and strategy to become more agile. Agile organizations are set to develop products 5 times faster, make decisions 3 times faster, and relocate resources quickly. It is characterized by fast activity cycles, customer centricity, open collaboration, and network of autonomous teams. According to a recent McKinsey Global Survey, organizational agility is the ability to quickly reconfigure a strategy, structure, process, people, and technology towards value creating and value protecting opportunities. It is said that a highly agile organization uses advanced processes, tools, and training which enable a successful reaction to emergence of new competitors, rapid advancement in technology, and sudden shifts in overall market conditions. Agile organizations are inclusive and non-hierarchical, and they embrace uncertainty and ambiguity with greater confidence, and also creates opportunity for employees to form organic network across the organization. Daniel, Serena, Christopher, and Sale Thacker mentioned in one of their articles that agile organizations are different from traditional organizations. Traditional organizations are built around a static, siloed structure hierarchy, whereas agile organizations are characterized as a network of teams operating in rapid learning and decision-making cycles. They further pointed out that an agile organization can ideally combine velocity and adaptability with stability and efficiency. Talking about the characteristics of agile organization has a north star embodied across the organization, which is about having a mindset to recognize the abundance of opportunity and resources available to us, and we succeed by co-creating values for all our stakeholders. Outside organization works through a network of small empowered team, uses rapid decision and learning cycles, and has a dynamic people model that ignites passion and uses next generation enabling technology.
Okay. To add up to what my friend just said, digitization cannot be ignored in this technically advanced world. And with a high degree of digitization can have the positive influence on the agility of the company. However, there is no guarantee that either guarantee that it depends on the applied technologies, and also to the extent to which they are suited in in supporting the process of the company, and especially in having the positive influence on adaptation capability. On uh, on the other hand, the company needs to be able to adapt adapt to its complex, turbulent, and unsafe environment by anticipating these changes as soon as possible and aligning it with their business model and the business process to it. Um, uh, there are many different paths to enterprise agility, and some organizations are born agile while they use an agile agile operating model from the start. But some of the examples of born agile organization are relatively common in the technology field. For instance, Spotify and Riot Games, a rare example uh, which are rare example and which are relatively common example, and some rare examples in other industries include Helicrop, which is a North American oil and gas company. And while some organizations get agility really easily, most organization undergo a transformation to embrace enterprise agility. And for the agile company, it is therefore crucial that the principle of agility is realized within the entire company, and it won't be adequate to execute an agile project every now and then. And apart from that, living on a rigid business process. On the contrary, the principle of agility needs to be deeply embedded within the enterprise architecture, and in the agile company, agility should expand through all the levels of enterprise architecture. Thank you.
Adding more on agility, the research done by Agina Smith and Ueda 2015 has found startups are generally well known for acting quickly, but once they grow beyond a certain point, they struggle to maintain that early momentum. Equally large and established companies often become bureaucratic because the rules, policies, and management layers developed to capture economic scale ultimately hamper their ability to move fast. And they had an experience that truly agile organizations learn to become both stable and dynamic. To master this paradox, company must design structures, governance, arrangements, and processes with relatively unchanging sets of core elements. A fixed backbone. At the same time, they must also create a looser, more dynamic elements that can be adapted quickly to new challenges and opportunities. The ability to be both stable and dynamic is the essence of true organizational agility. It must focus easily grasped through a simple product analogy. Taking example of smartphone, the hardware and operating system from a stable is from a stable foundation, but the dynamics application layer built in white space for new apps is to be added, updated, modified, and deleted over the time as requirements change and new capabilities develops. In a 2015 analysis by McKinsey showed that companies with both speed and stability have a 70% chance of being ranked in the top quartile by organizational health. That's a far higher proportion than McKinsey found among companies focused only on one or the other. We have long established the organizational health. Health is itself a predecessor of strong financial performance. Of strong financial performance. The results are also consistent with an analysis by Columbia Business School professor Rita Gothner McGrath, who have experimented in over 2,300 large US companies.
Um, Now I will be talking about the importance of stability. Pulkers and Kasi 2020 state that organization stability is required in our organization. The organization it provides people with a sense of confidence, security, and cheerfulness during the times of disruptive change in the workplace, which in turn allows them to keep calm, act rationally, and adapt effectively as the situation change. With that in mind, 7 evidence-based practices that leaders can use to build a stable foundation during the current crisis. In the time of disruption, managers get distracted, so stability is important to provide a clear vision to the management in the rapidly changing time. As instability, they are in a situation where they focus on stability.
Stability involves maintaining the status quo or growing in a meteorological but slow manner. The firm allows a safety oriented status quo type strategy without affecting the major changes in its present operations. The resources are put on existing operations to achieve moderate incremental growth. As such, the primary focus is on current products, markets, and functions, and maintaining the same level of effort. If the company is doing reasonably well, managers may not like to take the risks or hassles associated with more aggressive growth. Stability allows the firm to stop for a while, re examine what it has already done, and then proceed cautiously. An organization that has stretched its resources during the period of accelerated growth may want to attain stability before it attains further accelerated growth. If managers believe that growth prospects are low, they may follow a stability strategy with a view to hold on to their current market share. Stability strategy is, however, not a do nothing strategy. To maintain the current position of the organization, it definitely needs to carry out marginal improvements in performance in line with the changing trends in the market. Introducing new products, entering new market, undertaking major organizational changes all require huge investments. If the organization's advantage lies in the current business and the market, it pursues to exploit its competitive advantages fully.
Now that we have the basic gist of what stability and agility is, and then previously it was talked about how stability is more preferred. I would like to counter that by saying that there are limitations to stability, so it might not always be the best strategy for an organization to adapt. And I would also like to talk about how proactive planning can be used as an agile strategy. So first we'll talk about the limitations of stability. So stability would only work when the firm is doing well. So you need to be well established, or you need to have a long history of having worked on the market and understanding the environment, because VUCA is so uncertain and it's very dynamic and the market keeps changing. And because the environment is not excessively, and stability only works when the environment is not excessively volatile, which is highly unlikely in digitalized VUCA world. So present day organizations have to grapple with change continually. They have to operate in highly competitive environments. So functioning along existing lines would work initially when the firm is able to carve out a niche for itself, but it would fail to work as new firms enter into the market or new developments in the business environment occur, because new entrants, they have learned from the established companies. They learn from it, and then now they adapt new strategies so they do not repeat what has happened with these stable so-called stable organizations. So definitely new startup companies would be threatening for them. And then it is true that future means a change and adjustment to new situations and conditions, but it is better to indulge in proactive planning rather than living with the low profits and low stockholder dividends year after year, just relying on stability. And failure to improve profits over a long time means corporate loss. The corporate loss is filled with companies that fail to respond to the changes in the environment. And these changes, especially in digitalized VUCA world, is very dynamic and rapid. So here I'd like to introduce an agile method that organizations would maybe want to implement, that is proactive planning. So why must organizations practice proactive planning? They must practice this planning in order to manage the changes successfully. And the manager who is able, so an agile manager, as we can say it, who is able to anticipate and prepare for possible changes in the business, has more control than the manager who does not plan ahead and is content with the present setup and the status quo arrangements. Because previously, managers who believe in stability, they believe that they can handle these new changes in the VUCA world, because previously it might have worked, but that is most assumedly probably because they had a niche market for it. But that is not always the case. The results of taking a short-term perspective can be severe. Auto industry in the US failed to adapt to the changing requirements and wants of the marketplace. Whereas let's take that as an example of stability. Whereas Japanese and other foreign auto companies, which we are going to put them in the agile organization sector, they moved into filling the market void that was a need for more fuel efficient cars. And one of the most important advantages of planning is that it helps the manager or an organization to affect rather than accept the future. Because when you have planned ahead, you can almost predict what kind of situation you can be, the organization might have to face, rather than just accepting the let's assume the very bad future, because future is unpredictable. So a pre-planning method is definitely recommended. And in a competitive environment, resting on past performance could prove to be loss-oriented. And no change strategies force managers to live with wrong products and wrong markets. In volatile industries, doing nothing can mean short-run success, long-run debacle. And in order to progress in an orderly manner, every firm must employ appropriate growth strategies that help in improving the present as well as the future performance in the marketplace.
I would like to give additional points on why agility can be key for key thing for companies that are experiencing VUCA. Almost every person says that the most effective way to manage VUCA world is to approach it as a challenge. During this time of uncertainty, businesses are trying to adapt to the new normal in order to strive in this VUCA world, and agility is said to be the most suitable one. Nathan and James also pointed out that in the volatile situation, the key to cope and most effective way to address it is agility. So by considering these points, Jack Majane has listed out some points why the agile philosophy is suitable for unforeseen business obstacles. He said that there has been a myriad of tips on best practices for a remote structure, but business leaders should consider embracing an agile mindset to leverage collaboration. As agility is known to be particularly suitable for complex work with a high level of uncertainty, the very principles of agile require adaptation to new variables that can change the course of any project of the organization. He keeps on adding that slowly companies are embracing the agile philosophy and have been finding success in breaking down organization silos, boosting cross-functional collaboration with significant results. In order for in order for companies to find an effective resolution to these complex problems, adopting an agile method such as Scrum can help an environment where solutions can be discovered rapidly and executed. Mizan put forward two agile practices which will be beneficial for companies during VUCA. The first one is agility provides clarity over direction, which states that management has a unique opportunity to shape the future of their organization by role modeling the behavior that create the environment in which agile practices are most likely to flourish. Further adding to this point, the biggest opportunity for development is in the mindset shift from command leadership to servant leadership, where the hierarchy of an organization is turned upside down to put employees at the top, where leaders are charged with serving those employees above them. Similarly, the second one is agility creates an environment valuable to the team and customers, where he mentions that enterprises needs to be resilient in order to succeed. By building up trusting team relations, agile leaders can promote accountability to ensure that their team members are able to adapt quickly and pull together in the face of adversity to deliver high quality results no matter the circumstances. Through this philosophy, organizations can prepare their teams to be open to uncertainty, allowing rapid and effective resolutions to arising problems.
While we're still on the topic of agility, I would also like to add a supporting point on what was just said. Previously, all that has been said is like organizations need to have agility, but my supporting point is more focused on why agility or any agile factors would be needed in the VUCA world, more focusing on the VUCA world. So today, the need for agile in other areas rather than just software development is so much. New customer requirements, the product complexity, and the geographical diverse teams are drivers, while traditional methods and planning of large projects, processes, and methods cannot live up to the previous quality and predictability. Weber 2015 says that other research points out time to market, employee motivation, effectiveness, and flexibility as key drivers for agile transformation. And Jorkholm and Bradberg in 2010 say that moreover, human motivation drivers are autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So furthermore, there is more as the scholars have said, that Christopher and Towell in 2002 state that the two main points about being agile are emphasized as number one, an organization operating in a changing competitive environment, and number two, the organization can take effective action to benefit itself and its customers and exhibit responsiveness in a turbulent environment. And responsiveness is key, is the key main point, especially in the VUCA world, and being an agile responser to any changes or any demands from the customers or any volatile market environment This is so much of a powerful strategy that can work for organizations. And then so Negen and Pau in 2012, as well as Walwarta and Hercules in 2018, both of these separate articles have also added that as a dynamic capability for organizations operating in a highly dynamic environment. Organizational agility is the capacity to sense and respond rapidly to changing customer needs, to make decisions rapidly, and to reallocate resources quickly as circumstances change. So, still, firms tend to overemphasize efficiency and stability at the expense of adaptability and agility due to the immediate and reliable returns at reasonable cost.
Now I will be talking about why do an organization pursue agile transformation. Many organizations today are running agile pilots or are attempting an agile transformation. They want to be flexibility and business agility that an agile method promise. But many of those organizations pursuing agile transformation lack a hard and clear understanding of why. Often, when we ask why, we get a mix of reasons: get more done with less, response to quick changing priorities.
As my friend has mentioned, so why do organizations pursue agile transformation? Now I am going to talk about transforming organizations into agile. While transforming the organizations towards agility, the company should know where the value is created in the industry, and they should search the process and elements which can benefit them from greater agility, either more dynamic or more stability. Then the organization should design the overall organization structure. Then after the organization should make agile teams and define mission, vision, values, and goals of the organization. After that, they should be able to select the best agile way to work, like flow to work, cross-functional, etc. Then the organization should find the required changes in mindset and change in culture. Then the company should outline requirements on core processes, people, and technology. And at last, the company should decide on the implementation approach and develop high-level roadmaps. Ibrahim ETL 2019. Now, I am going to talk about some of the components that transform agile organization should have. The organization should have quick decision making ability and proper governance setup. They should have business planning and budgeting. Organization should manage the performance of its employees. Agile role should be given to the employees and career paths should be shared. Risk management should be assured by strengthening control, assuring technological quality, removing barriers, and increasing transparency. Collaboration should be ensured between different departments in different projects should be in different projects and in a truly agile organization, technology and architecture should be upgraded. Only transforming organization to be agile is not sufficient. The organization should be customer centric and transfer their organization combination, the need of combination with the need of both organizations and its customers. In today's customer centric environment, the step by step customer care model is insufficient to resolve today's more complex customer inquiries. Therefore, a fresh approach on that harness the collective knowledge of frontline agents is critical to delight and surprise the customer. The agile methodology, as developed in IT and product development, is not completely suited for customer care functions, but it can be adapted in several ways to significantly boost customer experience.
Um, I'd like to add a small supporting point since we're talking about transformation into agile. It's not necessarily that every organization has to be agile, but it's more of why traditional organizations must transform agile in order to survive in the VUCA world. And this is also where I would like to stress a point that I myself previously pointed out as to why new entrants have pushed traditional organizations to transform agile. So in the exponentially dynamic and technologically driven business environments of the 21st century. The pressure on business organization is increasing. Customers' demands are diversifying while new ambitious environmental protection regulations are put into law, and startups challenge traditional business models. Both Costern and others, 2016, as well as Anderson and Ackerman in 2001, agreed that this development in the VUCA world requires organizations to structure themselves in such a way to meet the increasing requirements at a faster pace, while at the same time maintaining its business signature, because you do not want to lose your identity, the brand identity that has been established, but stability is not always the key. So moreover, the volatile nature of the market brings new startups every second, every year, because they have new ideas, new strategies. They have learned from the previous traditional organizations, and these startups learn from the ways and experience of these traditional organizations and enter with an organizational structure that is so much adapted to the current business environment, which make them better prepared for the unpredictable future industrial unpredictable future challenges. And several approaches to meeting these new requirements are being proposed to industrial companies, where agile methods are one of the biggest strategy and solution. So Novacelt in 2016 says that organizations adapting agility enables organizational flexibility, faster response to change, and customer involvement in the design and production process. When transforming a traditional organization to an agile organization, it faces challenges that new companies have already overcome. So they need to step up rather than just relying on stability.
I I agree to the point that agile transformation is necessary, but I, however, would like to point out some. Get here, but sorry. I agree to this point of agile transformation being important, but however, I'd like to point out some of the negative aspects of agile transformation. Its success in agile transformation is sorry, agile transformation is not as easy as it sounds, and many organizations had attempted it at least once, or some frequently more, and many have failed as well. So going in without a clear sense of what the leaders hope to achieve, or um, without a realistic plan, or without a with only weak support, is almost certain to result in failure. And agile, above all, is a mindset, says McKinsey Group. And without the right mindset, all the other parts of agile, without the right mindset, other parts of agile operation system can be in place, but yet the company will see only few benefits or none in some cases. So agility is not just about changing the mindset of CEOs or shareholders. Agility should be embedded within the whole organization, and in order for it to succeed, I personally think that changing mindset of entire employees or other stakeholders involving other stakeholders involving is a tough task for any company, and being building a culture of trust within a company isn't as easy as it sounds, but it is necessary. So establishing trust takes effort from teams and leaders leaders who should be deeply engaged in every step of the process. And it also requires continuous improvement, which necessitates sustained effort. And continuous improvement seeks to motivate teams and enable their members to increase skills and share knowledge, not only with each other but also with people from other teams. And this process should be continually evaluated for their efficiency and effectiveness, then improved upon. In short, it requires time and effort, and there's no guarantee whether it will pay off or not. So I think that's it.
Uh, yes, it is true that agile transformation is not easy. So I would like to give points on how organizations can mess their agile transformation. As we all know, the journey to become more agile is challenging, and there are many obstacles that organizations have to face to achieve the success in agile transformation. Based on the experience of Christopher Hanscom, Allen, and Ahmad across numerous transformation, they pointed out 7 common missteps on an agile journey. The first one is not having alignment on the aspiration and value of an agile transformation. We can often see that organizations embark on such transformations without first ensuring alignment among the leaders of organization on the aspiration and value of the transformation. Further, we often see companies that, in the spirit of adopting new principles such as experimentation and empower team, end up creating a burning platform as different leaders across the organization choose different approaches for implementing agile. The second one is not treating agile as a strategic priority that goes beyond pilot. Too often, companies find themselves limiting agile to pilots within a small parts of organization with a small set of leaders. While the pilot is typically successful, its impact is restricted to a few teams or a bunch of technologists. This limited nature of pilot often prevents the CEO and executive team from grasping the far-reaching impact and strategic value border transformation could have. Similarly, third point is not putting culture first over everything else. Ignoring the culture and change management implications of agile is one of the biggest mistakes organizations are seen to make. Similarly, the fourth point is not investing in talents of your people. Fifth point is not thinking through the pace and strategy for scaling up beyond pilots. It is one thing to pilot agile in small pockets of an organization where one can deploy resources from across the enterprise to support the pilot and make it successful, where these plans need to be adjusted based on learning through implementations and require upfront planning, and organizations sometimes fail to do that. Uh, Likewise, our sixth point is not having a stable backbone to support agile, which hampers innovation and increases time to market. And lastly, the final one is not infusing experimentation and iteration into the DNA of an organization, which means having rigid framework will limit the impact of agile transformation.
Agility against agility on exclusion of first winning strategy. The road towards the agile way of working leads to many challenges. Along the way, it is found that regardless of how long the organization has undergone an agile transformation or the maturity of their current use of agile way of working, culture, performance management is always the most felt challenge among respondents. Furthermore, regardless of whether an organization has just started their transformation or have been undergoing their transformation for more than 3 years, the limited stability for system remains a challenge. Among organizations who have just started their agile transformation and or are currently conducting an agile pilots, a key challenge is the ability of resource with agile delivery experience, and equally organizations who have been undergoing an agile transformation for more than 3 years or currently identifying their use of agile way of working. Enterprise agility find that scaling beyond the team level and flawless operations are key challenges that they face. The following section will unpack this challenge further, starting with an agile culture.
I'd like to kind of disagree with what was just said, because if you were talking about the challenge, every organization will face one somehow, one way or the other, whether if it is whether dealing with your customer or maybe the environment or just in general, because VUCA is so complex. I would like to more talk about why agile structure would be an advantage, and why one should not be afraid of taking that challenge just because you are transforming from being a stable organization to an organization that is slowly adapting the agile structure and agile methods. You're transforming your entire organization culture agile. So one of the biggest challenge one of the biggest obstacles to change is the organization itself. If you do not want to change and just remain stable, I think, as mentioned before, it would be corporate loss, and the business would probably not even last, as it would not prolong its business. Anyways, so Pisano in 2019, they say that and as having a agile structure in the organization, a flatter organization, that means having it agile, enables leaders to be closer to the action, while horizontal hierarchy in agile organization does give people more opportunity to make decisions. They can also be more difficult to lead. So clear priorities and direction are necessary. And for example, Amazon and Google have very strong leaders who are close to action and are involved. The Boston Consulting Group, BCG, also agrees to this point, and they say that their recent study concluded that organizations today must shift their business models and their leadership skills to become adaptive firms. Adaptive firms can adjust and learn better, faster, and more economically than their peers, giving them an adaptive advantage. Adaptive firms, the study notes, includes Apple, Google, 3M, Target, and Amazon. So if organizations just believe that taking the challenge is no fun, or it could yes, taking the challenge might also be in a negative side. So sometimes you might fail, but you need to be adaptive no matter what. Here, Haim and Zanini in 2018 provide a good example of a flat and networked organization, which is the Haier Group Corporation in Qingdao, China. So the world's largest application maker has 75,000 employees globally and 27,000 outside China. Everyone is directly accountable to customers. The business model is like the internet with small elements joined flexibly, and there is a limited central direction, but there is common goal setting, contracting, and coordination between units. So here, the Haier Group Corporation is adapting. They're taking the challenge and they're trying it out by following the agile structure. So how they coordinate is by doing the following things. That is, business units are either market facing or unit selling design, manufacturing, or human resources. Metrics include user involvement in product development and unique customer value. Every unit can buy services from other units or from outside vendors. New products are developed through open innovation to find customer pain points, and suppliers who contribute to the early design are preferred in the vendor selection. So this is how this company has taken agile structure, and they have included everyone, their entire organization culture, the global supply chain, their employees, customers, suppliers, all of them are in this horizontal hierarchy, with not necessarily giving too much power, but they are still adapting to this. So this is how adaptive firms, or agile structured firms, definitely get an advantage rather than just relying on stability to not take on the challenge.
We've already talked about stability and its importance. Now let's talk about why organizations choose to pursue stability. At the same time that organizations and individuals are pursuing change, there are numerous individuals and organizational and societal forces promoting stability in work and employment relations. Individuals wish to reduce uncertainty and maintain a stable self-concept propelled by consistency in their actions. They also are better able to manage relationships at work that are predictable and stable. Similarly, organizations can reduce the costs of transactions with employees when there is stability in these relationships. Um, a stable, skilled workforce also can provide a firm with a competitive advantage that is not easily imitated. We argue that some level of tensions between stability and change is itself an inevitable part of organizational life, a part that poses both opportunities and challenges for the participants. Acknowledging this tension and incorporating it into organizational modes and research can pose its own set of challenges. Despite some strong incentives as well as considerable rhetoric promoting change and flexibility in work, how work is organized and carried out, there are a number of forces working against changes in an organization. Some of those forces, such as institutionalism, find their basis in routine rather than rationally, whereas others, such as efforts to reduce transaction costs, are rooted in established economic theory.
We just talked about what agile organizations is all about and its importance. Now I'd like to give some points on what it means to be an agile leader. This new kind of agile organization that we have been discussing requires a new and fundamentally different kind of leadership. Rick Lipsinger mentioned that agile leaders are uniquely fit to the challenges of managing in a VUCA world because they embrace system thinking, build trust, ask questions, and also embrace change. In one of the articles written by Forbes Coaches Council, they have emphasized that in the modern business world, many leaders emphasize the importance of being agile. Nikwenya Collins points out that this management style requires a leader to be flexible, adaptable, and fast in their decision making, leading with abundance, such as identifying new opportunities and seeking win-win outcomes, and having the ability to listen and learn because information is vital in leadership. Information is vital to leadership in a VUCA world. While this mindset shift might be new and require a significant letting go of old beliefs and paradigms, collectively they form a much disciplined approach to leadership. David Natler and Michael Tushman refer to this leadership agility as creating organizational congruence, where they pointed out that leader achieved the congruence needed to sustain success in VUCA world not only by making continuous shift in people, process, technology, and structure. Gil Thackeray, in his article, highlighted if leaders are to remain agile in VUCA world, they need a new solution. Agile leaders have the humility and foresight to know that they can't tackle the organization problem alone, so they inspire others to grow along with them and then provide them with opportunities for development. Alan Trivedi said that it is important to know what it takes to put agile leadership into practice and why it's such an important quality to cultivate. The first thing is being being present to gain insights. While being strategic is critical to success, it is just as important to lead effectively in the present moment, as it creates greater awareness in addressing the right challenges facing your team. Similarly, the second thing is to foster an agile culture in an organization where Elizabeth states leaders must inspire creativity and innovation within employees. While traditional leadership style concentrates power centrally in one leader, agile leadership style redistributes this power and focuses on guiding and supporting rather than directing. There are some talent management tools that HR executives can use for the identification and development of leadership agility, like 360-degree feedback. According to Jack Gender, the purpose of 360-degree feedback is to assist each individual to understand their strengths and weakness and to contribute insights into aspects of their work that needs professional development, and it also allows each individual to understand their effectiveness as an employee, co-worker, or staff member and how it is viewed by others.
Agility can prove difficult to get right. Normally, it is a new way of working, differ from what comes before, and it is easy to go in manners. Some of the major reasons for the downfall of leaders agility in VUCA world are copy pasting. Agile principles are universal, but their application varies depending on the work target. Example, product development versus sales operation. Outgoing someone else model without a clear vision and deep understanding of agile can be cause significant harm. Parallel agile, it occurs by applying agile to part of the values change and leaving the rest as is as it is. For example, handling agile product development within a traditional go to market setting to achieve full benefit. Agile should be implemented end to end. Insufficient capability building. Agile supporting leaders poses the right set of skills and mindset. Entrepreneur self-management ability. This must often be supported. Diluted focus on performance. Self management sometimes became a license for agile teams to stop planning, reporting, and delivering results. However, agile requires more discipline, not less. Short term barriers. Agile software development team must frequently decide between new features and optimizing existing software to avoid technical debt. Unless managed, agile trend to barriers towards the new feature at the expense of long-term quality.
Now I am going to talk about roles of agile leaders. Leadership and boundary setting can be found in people everywhere. In the workplace, if someone has responsibility over something and it is not limited to managers, directors, and team leads. In fact, this concept is explained by Amy R. McGreer, a business writer known for her work at a last minute writing and draft beyond self management. At its core doesn't usually exist because there are always going to be those who take the lead and shape it, so that there can be defined rules, values, and levels of freedoms. Even organizations that don't have strict hierarchies still have leaders at all levels. Becoming an agile leader, if there is a lack of clarity or transparency, the team won't know what strategic direction to take the processes into. So, agile leaders need to be the one to step in with boundaries. The important thing here is to communicate clearly and lead. Being a good agile leader means finding the balance between not being too restrictive with the boundaries and giving their teams enough freedom. It's important to show confidence in the team and promote psychological security. Being agile also means that you have to be able to let go of what doesn't work and try another approach. It can be harder to let go if our beliefs, but agile leaders have learned to challenge their beliefs and their assumptions so they can adapt to the current situation and stay ahead of the game. It's also very important to have agile leaders and organizations that can adapt to the digital economy today. Digital trends are disrupting the old ways of operating, and organization need to be able to stay relevant in the digital age. To be clear about boundaries and transparent about all assignments and roles is extremely important in an agile organization, but it's an interesting balance only when the boundaries are clear and not too restrictive teams feels like they can help customer in the best way. The agile leader's role is to create that clarity to keep the boundaries loose but defined. To do that, it's important to understand the organization's purpose, mandate, and values.
I kind of disagree to this because no matter how agile the leaders are, at the end, the goal of both organization and leader is that they prefer stability, and because leaders are often told to cope with the sudden and dramatic changes, they need to be agile and resilient. However, to achieve this, business leaders must first commit to stability, and organizational stability is what provides people with a sense of confidence, security, and optimism during the times of disruptive change in the workplace. And this in turn allows workers to keep calm and act rationally, and also adapt more effectively as situation evolves. Further, it also helps them keep more focused. Employees seek stability and fluidity in navigating the currents of organizational life, because they wish many aspects of their lives with social system to be stable and predictable in order to maintain a sound self concept, and to manage day-to-day experiences free of anxiety of changes. And at the same time, they seek uh, stimulative variation and change in order to motivate personal achievement. Fisher 1993 states that that the tension between preferences for stability and change at the level of organizational member is embedded within a large number of social and occupational construct that governs one's experiences at work. We consider this tension in relation to three core aspects of micro level analysis of workplace behavior, that is individual differences, work related social cognition, and workplace relationship. And stability is a cornerstone of the study of individual differences in an organization behavior, in the sense that it differentiates the differences generally become meaningful construct only if they are only if they can exceed a measurement threshold of consistency. Um, it is this stability and this consistency that appeal to the management practitioners who seek to capitalize on trait related findings regarding individual motivation and performance. A manager who builds a selection process around measurable individual differences can therefore be said to be seeking not just trait levels, but indeed stability as well. So employees play an important role for any organization, while leaders seek agility to stay ahead of the competition, employees seek stability and consistency because that's what makes them feel comfortable, and they are more productive. They are more productive in a stable work environment.
Till now, we have discussed how the VUCA world itself demands more agility and adaptability because the market is so dynamic and unpredictable. Organizations want stability, which can only be obtained by being agile. According to Apollo Research Institute staff 2012, leaders who are involved in strategic planning for the stability in the VUCA world must have foresight to see where they are going, but must not remain flexible about how they get there. Petrie in 2011 emphasizes that leadership development should be focused on learning agility, self awareness, comfort and ambiguity, and strategic thinking. Passmore and Oshia in 2011 recommends organizations to hire agile leaders and develop existing leaders to be more agile leaders.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what just now has been said, that in order to be stable in the VUCA world now, you need to first be agile. It's not the other way around now because times have changed. And here I would like to bring up a concept of agile leadership in the VUCA world, that are cloud leaders. So the leaders for these coming years, using a metaphorical language, must be a cloud. Traditional forms of leadership, based on what Bennis 2007 termed the tripod form: leaders, followers, and a common goal they want to achieve. And more recent theories will need to advocate for a fuller and more interrogative focus that is multi-level, multi-component, and interdisciplinary, and that recognizes that the process of leadership involves an innermost nurturing and feed forward accompaniment of the leader, that also being led into the complexity of the VUCA context. So you might be wondering, how is a cloud leader agile? Because I just said that cloud leaders are a concept of agile leadership. So here, Earl and others in 2013 states that cloud expresses the mentality of convergence required by all leadership today. And Day and others, as well as Drath and others in 2014 and 2008, the cloud leaders is also concerned with the principles that guide how individuals gain understanding of themselves and the external world, principles that conduce any decision-making process, principles that involve the change from one order of development to another, and usually a higher one driven by new environmental challenges that demand more complex sense-making abilities in qualitatively different patterns and criteria. So a cloud leader shows availability to be accessed with an open schedule for personal encounters, and gains respect and ascendancy by showing updated, pertinent, and condensed information. So easy accessibility with open, clear, and direct communication in leaders will be a skills highly valued by the VUCA requirement. And leaders leading businesses today face challenges with specific textures that like conversions of traits, processes, and outcomes with the leadership enriched by schools and theories immersed in a VUCA world where resiliency is a scarce commodity. Raising, building, and taking advantage of the dynamism that each individual possesses, educating from the positive and toward the positive is a benefit of a cloud leader in a VUCA world where digitization has a strong presence and they are more agile and ready to take on challenges and the unpredictability.
So I'd like to give an additional example on developing leadership agility. So let's talk about how consumer product company Land First are addressing the turbulence and uncertainty in their industry. In 2008, they began investing in creatives as a key component of their competitive growth strategy for the next 5 years. David, the company's president, hired the first vice president of human resource perspective and experience in human capital development to help the leadership team map a strong strategic commitment to future growth through leadership this alarming economic crisis crossed the global confidence and paralyzed so many organizations and leaders, the company's president was enthusiastic about pushing forward with creating an updated strategic plan that would capture and sharpen the vision primarily through the development of leaders with agility at every level of the organization. The company's leadership team worked together aggressively to build the first tier of a strategic map reflecting the vision for the future that embraced an enterprise-wide focus on leadership and organizational agility. The leadership group of 75 worked cross-functionally to develop the new strategies and requirements for agile leaders. They did this by creating leadership agility competencies and metrics derived from key agility indicators. This work resulted in a very high shared leadership understandings of the key to success for all parts of the enterprise and set up a clear direction for continuous development and reinforcement of leadership agility. Leadership agility skills that they used were visioning, monitoring, engaging, connecting, decision making, collaborating, customer focus, and idea diversity.
I disagree that agility is applicable in all the situations as stability strategy does involve changing the way the business is run. However, the range of products offered and market served remain unchanged or narrowly focused. Hence, the stability strategy is perceived as a non-growth strategy. As a matter of fact, stability strategy does provide a room for growth through room for growth, though or growth through a growth strategy. As a matter of fact, stability strategy does provide room through a limited extent in the existing product market area to achieve current business objectives. Implementing stability strategy does not imply stagnation since the basic trust is on maintaining the current level of performance with incremental growth in ensuing periods. An organization's strategy might choose stability when the industry or economy is in turmoil or environment is volatile. Uncertain conditions might convince strategies to be conservative until they become more certain. Environmental turbulence is minimal and the firm does not foresee any major threats to itself and the industry is concerned as a whole. The organization just finished a period of rapid growth and needs to consolidate its gains before pursuing more growth. The firm's growth ambitions are very modest and it is content with the incremental growth. The industry is in a mature stage with few or no growth prospects, and the firm is currently in the comfortable position in the market.
To add up to what my friend just said, there are a number of circumstances in which there are a number of circumstances in which the most appropriate growth stance for a company is stability rather than growth. Stability strategy is normally followed by a brief period to consolidate the gains of its expansion and needs a needs a breathing spell before embarking on the next round of expansion. So companies need to cool off for a while after an aggressive phase of expansion and must stabilize for a while, um, or they will become inefficient and unmanageable. And managers pursue stability strategy when they feel that that the enterprise has been performing well and wish to maintain the same trend in the subsequent years. They would prefer to adopt to existing product market posture and avoid departing from it. And sometimes the management is content with the status quo because the company enjoys a distinct competitive advantage and hence does not perceive an immediate threat. stability strategy is also adopted in a number of organizations because the management is not interested in taking risk by venturing into unknown terrain, and uh, in fact they do not consider any other option as long as the pursuit of existing business activity produces the desired result. And conservative managers believe product development, market development, or new ways of doing business entail greater risks and therefore taking decisions which can endanger the company. And a number of managers also pursue consolidation strategy involuntarily. In fact, they do not react to the environmental changes and avoid drastic changes in the current strategy unless warranted by extraordinary circumstances. Sometimes environmental forces compel an organization to follow the strategy of status quo. This is particularly true for a bigger organization which have acquired dominant market share. Such organizations are usually not permitted by the government to expand because it may lead to the monopolistic and restrictive trade practices detrimental to the public interest.
The tendency of organizations to do things as they have in the past is a well articulated phenomenon generally described by institutional theorists like Greenwood and Heinings in 1996. Firms pursue stability not just because it is easier, but also because organizational actors don't think to do otherwise. New information is less likely to penetrate networks of relationships that are well established and dense. At the same time, existing power structures tend to be self perpetuating, further solidifying relationship practices in organizations. Thus, organizational actors may have neither a high ability nor a strong desire for change. In recent theory on strategy and organizational performance, researchers have shifted their focus from industry structure to a concentration of the individual firm
Ajay,
and the resources.
excuse me. There is a lot of disturbances in your network. There was disturbance in your network, I guess. So we couldn't hear your sound.
So I'll start again then.
Still there is some noise.
So can you hear me now?
Uh, is it just from my side that I'm hearing the noise, or
No, sir, it's audible. It's still there.
So can you hear me
can
now?
you rejoin? Rejoin. And you others can continue.
I would like to contrast to stability in general by giving a classic example of how agility has worked so far for organizations. And this is one of the examples that I really like, and I have used it previously in topic one as well, while talking about how to take on volatile environment. So this is here the example of Southwest Airlines. So sure, there is no denying in certain situations stability can be a sustained advantage, but I would like to contrast to that by pointing out that agility is a sustained advantage in itself, and there is a real life organizational example where agility has been used to overcome the volatile environment of the work world. Agility is key to deal with volatility. Resources should be aggressively directed towards building slack and creating the potential for future flexibility. So yes, the example I take here is of Southwest Airlines, who strategizes against the volatile commodity pricing, which I previously, as I said, I mentioned it before. So recapping this excellent agile example, Brooks 2010 takes Southwest Airlines as an example of strategizing against the volatile nature of commodity market pricing. So Southwest Airlines here correctly, they forecast the volatility in fuel prices while the prices were still low, and they acted aggressively to maintain its agility. So when the prices were still low, the company was stable. They had no problem so far, but they took this one more step ahead and thought about the future, the unpredictable future. So what they did was they embarked on a massive fuel hedging plan that baffled its competitors, predicting the fuel market volatility and leveraging its assets to create future agility. As most of Southwest competitors hedged only 20 to 30% of their fuel purchases, limiting their eventual agility because they relied on stability. However, Southwest used the agile strategy into hedging a massive 70% of its total need. The end result was that Southwest ended up paying as much as 50% less for fuel than its competitors, and has arguably been the only consistent profitable airline for most of the 21st century. So here we see that the competitors, they did not, as much as Southwest Airlines did, they did not work on predicting to the future because they were stable. There is nothing wrong with being stable, but they were too much in their comfort zone. So in the end, we can see the massive difference from 20 to 30% of the competitors and Southwest Airlines have 70% of their total needs, and they have to pay 50% less the cost, so the Southwest Airlines was definitely saving up on the cost, the resources, and they definitely were able to tackle the volatile market commodity pricing that is the fuel for the airlines. So this is definitely a proactive thinking, or as I mentioned previously, it's proactive pre-ahead planning agile method, which Southwest Airlines was able to pull off by being agile against the volatile nature of the fluctuating market commodity prices. And they had a big margin by hedging almost 70% of fuel purchases compared to their competitors, which is why they only had to pay 50% less, which definitely proves that agility is a good strategy to deal with volatility. And while stability in some ways can be a sustained advantage, but agility definitely has a higher rate of success. And as once again repeating that, in order for now in this VUCA world, in order for organizations to be stable, you first need to be agile.
Supporting both agility and stability, an organization should not view agility and stability as separate phenomena. As Dr. Frank have driven the recommendation to not view agility and stability as separate phenomena, but instead as two mutually depending voltage poles which were supplemented by the performance of the organization as a third voltage pole. He brings up an interesting observation regarding the agile company in connection with transformation. The added value of adaptability at the cost of stability is often accomplished by identity loss and engagement of the social integration of the organization. Supporting it, many large organizations have expressed facing challenges when implementing agile because of strict focus on team concept. Thus, propose of a combination of agile and traditional method. Agile organization as a living mobilized quickly, are nimble, empowered to act and make it easy to act. They have evolved to thrive in an unpredictable, rapidly changing environment. These organizations are both stable and dynamic based on the literature Ibrahim 2018, Wilbert 2014, and Christensen 2019. The new agile organization is designed to co-create value with and for all the stakeholders through recognizing the plenty of opportunities and resources available, enable employees to be highly engaged, take care of each others, figure out a resourceful solution, and deliver special result through clear accountabilities, embrace uncertainty, and be quickest and most productive in trying new things in order to minimize risk, evolve frequently, and embrace uncertainty, ambiguity, empower employees to take full ownership, confident they will drive the organization towards fulfilling its purpose and vision, focus on customers, gracefully adapt to environmental changes, and are open, complete, and unheresical.
I certainly agree to what my friend just said. It's more important and more difficult than so ever to fight the agility stability paradox. Today's business must not be based on a delicate balance between of being compliant, plan driven and keeping the lights on while also seeking ways to become more fluid and agile with high customer touch. The barriers standing between these two key initiatives are numerous and complex, whether it's mismatched technology or a lack of mutual understanding. The agility stability paradox remains. In a lot of ways, this paradox comes down to a difference between traditional and new forms of IT. Traditional IT can be described as predictable, it's compliant and plan driven, with controversial process and long term cycles. But as the next generation of IT starts to take hold, today's businesses must find ways to also fold in a new IT that's dynamic, fluid, agile, and continuous, with short cycles and high customers touch points. In this way, traditional IT and new IT are polar opposites, and many companies struggle to find a balance between these two competing attitudes. Two must change at once, and tooling challenges all stand in the way of harmony between the reliability of the traditional approach and the need for agility in the new way of doing things. Balance is possible. Enterprises don't have to choose between reliability, customer experience, uptime, and performance over agility, release velocity, new markets, and competitive response. The real secret to overcoming the agility stability paradox lies in establishing who, what, and how. What this means is that with the right people, process, and tools in place, any company can achieve the balance between agility and stability that is much needed for a company's success.
Mm. Achieving both agility and stability is a tough task for any organization, and as previously mentioned, it requires a mindset change. And the organization must change the way they think about the risk. The pace of technology change is accelerating, and the fast is a new normal. So innovations like cloud, mobile-based apps, and big data will continue to permeate the market and will help organization win businesses. Gartner most recently reported that there has been more technology change in the last 3 years than in the last 20 years combined. And that's because more and more teams are driving adoption of new software specifically for each line of business. And it's for that very reason that it's more crucial than ever for businesses to keep everything operating smoothly. And solution to this, according to McKinsey and Group, is automation. For example, when technology changes and processes need to be tested from start to finish, workshops, worksoft's automated Worksoft automated business provides business process validation platform validates every process from end to end, and it's simply not possible with today's pace of change to otherwise validate every system change and process manually anymore. So it's innovation technology that helps to safely accelerate technology innovation. And in this way, automation replaces slow and costly manual effort and greatly accelerates every enterprise system project. A recent IDC study of 12 global firms that adopted workshop business process validation reported that project timelines were sped up significantly with a 38% shorter testing cycles, 48% time saving in quality assurance, and 43% fewer customer impact and defects, and witnessed a total NPV of more than 11 million. $11 million per enterprise. That's why we are seeing automated business processes validation is becoming the new standard at many Fortune 1000 firms. And automation dramatically improves quality and lowers risk because it allows business processes to be validated more quickly and completely. So, in other words, automation helps companies put the latest growth driving technologies into the hands of businesses users faster and with lower risks, so organization can answer to both agility and stability without compromise.
Now, I'd like to give a short point on how agile organizations excel at both stability and dynamism. From our discussion, we can now already determine that to be agile, an organization also needs to be both stable and dynamic. Walter and Christian say that agility rhymes with stability, where they illustrate that companies can become more designing their organizations to by designing their organization both to drive and speed. Dynamism practices enable company nimbly and quickly to new challenges and opportunities, where stable practices cultivate reliability and efficiency by establishing a backbone of elements that don't need to change frequently. Truly agile organization paradoxically learn to be both stable and dynamic. The work done by Walter and Christian has highlighted three core organizational areas where balancing this tension between stability and flexible is critical. To master this paradox, company must design structure which defines how resources are distributed, governance arrangement which dictates how decisions are made, and processes with a relatively unchanging set of core elements, a fixed backbone. At the same time, they must also create looser, more dynamic elements that can be ready to new challenges and opportunities. Agile companies design their organization with the backbone of stable elements and regularly necessarily redesign their structures, governance mechanism, and processes to strike a balance between speed and stability. A 2020 analysis of McKinsey's Organizational Health Index showed that companies with both speed and stability have a 70% chance to be ranked in the top quartile by organizational health, which is far higher proportion than McKinsey found among companies focused only on one or the.
Now I would like to take this debate to the conclusion part. Due to the reason, speed, flexibility, productivity, and transparency, driving agile popularity, resulting in an increase in VUCA driving organization to look for more nimble approaches to management and exclusion. Established frames are fighting off threat from setup and rising competitors, and is not going to stop anytime soon. Established frames are fighting off. Netflix started agile and have learned to scale agile. Other enterprise like Amazon, some financial services companies, and other are making the transaction from traditional orders to more agile enterprise. For many managers and boards, the vision of fast moving, agile, and profitable organization uh, engaging, but realizing that vision can be difficult. Part of the problem lies in two small words, and or. Many organizations believe that to be agile, they must be agile everywhere. This is a false assumption, but being agile means you can't be stable. The stability and scale is fixed organization structure and procedures provide a necessary foundation or agile capabilities. Creating stability does not happen overnight, but there are actions that they can take that will build trust, confidence in leaders and their organization. This will help employees feel secure and empowered to do their best work even during times of uncertainty. Concluding, companies must design structure, governance, engagement, and practices with a relatively unchanging set of core elements, a fixed backbone. At the time, they must also create a looser or dynamic element that can be adapt quickly to new challenges and opportunities. Organization in the 21st century were built for stability and predictability. Organization in the 21st century needs to be both stable and change skilled, that some refers to a dynamically stable. Abrahamson 2000 has result many organizations today trends to be over managed and underlined as change to a global information based economy. Both management and leadership are essential skills required for 21st century organization.
Agility is no longer optional as customer demand and market trends change more rapidly by a year. With the ongoing digital transformation accelerating the processes. Gostak 2018 stated agile companies regularly rethink and, if necessary, redesign their structures, governance mechanism, and processes to strike a balance between speed and stability. But a company attempting to become more agile may find the effort overwhelming. One critical prerequisite for sustaining real change is putting in place the behavioral norms required for success. While agile companies seems to share a few behavioral norms such as a bias for action and the free flow of information, other norms vary according to the nature of company and specific recipe it adapts to encourage healthy performing culture. The clearer and more widely adapted these kinds of behavior become throughout all levels and units of a company, the easier it will be to change structures, governance, and processes in pursuit of agility.
I'd like to conclude this debate session by saying that uncertainty has always been with us. However, as today's trend blur traditional boundaries, the tayloristic management paradigm of the 20th century, linear by design, needs to be supplemented by a faster, more nimble approach to achieve speed and flexibility through agile integrated with traditional and beyond agile capabilities and methods. Agile characteristics such as short sprints, roadmaps, and minimal viable product, complemented by individual capabilities, scenarios, and networks, can help you and your organization to support and to integrate with traditional hierarchy based uh, approach to execute process and with their unique mix of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. We have now come to the end of our debate, so I'd like to thank our teacher, Mr. Sunitra Pradhanam, for guiding us and facilitating us throughout this debate. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everyone. So it was a nice debate, but a very long debate. Okay, so we nearly um, it's nearly 2 hours. So I try to make it concise, but yes, we have talked about a lot of things, starting with VUCA. We talked about the agility and stability, agile organization versus the traditional organization, the importance of stability while agile mindset is required. We talked about the agile transformation and some of the failures and against the agility. There were the things said as well. We also discussed on the components of agile organization, why there is the importance of adaptive form, the agile leadership, and how the agile leaders should be like guiding and supporting rather than directing. Why and there was some contrast on about the agility and stability. But you came into conclusion that yes, stability is required being agile, and how developing the agile leadership and how why stability is required as a sustainable advantage that were shown, and very good examples were shown as well. Just a few things that could be improved in the term two. We will be meeting on term two now, after a shortest briefing on what happened in the topic 1 to 3. Then we will go to the term two, and term two we from there try to be concise it to the timing that we have set. And some of your friends still seem to be reading from the screen. Yes, there were and all of you were mostly on the topic, and some of the topic were on agile software rather than the agile organization leadership and leaders, and agile team that we were discussing. Not go beyond what has been said in the topic. And yes, try to yes, it's more interactive now. It has been more interactive. It's not like a presentation that short presentation that it used to be, but try to again be more interactive with your friends, contrast and support the arguments. And yes, the sources yes, most of the time the sources has been cited, but by some of the specific friends, they have time and again cited the sources, and others can also follow them and cite the sources as well. Overall, a very nice debate. The topic 1 2 3, all of the topic, you have analyzed it properly and also collected the content. I'll be hoping for for a more interactive session in the term two. Thank you. I'm stopping the
Thank you,
recording.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.